Hey folks, and welcome to another video in this series of Copilot levels of enlightenment. Things I went through personally that feels like I had sort of an aha moment and it made me a better user of GitHub Copilot. So I get more value out of the tool by itself. I do recommend watching all the other videos in this series as well. Maybe you pick up something from those as well. And maybe that can help you in the way that you work with GitHub Copilot. This video is about level 5. That's an interesting one because this is more of stop focusing on all the typos that you make while you're prompting and doing certain things. And this is especially true for the chat variant of GitHub Copilot. It works with comments in suggestions as well. But if you intend to leave the comments in your code, of course, then it really helps if there are less typos in there that can help you or the other person in there. And this was an interesting one for me because I'm very much creating a lot of content online, and it's usually a lot of text in there as well, a lot of blog posts, and I created a lot of slide decks, for example. So I'm pretty prone to watch for typos and immediately start fixing them. That is something that is ingrained in my way of working for a lot of things. And this is really something that I had to overcome. I'm still not there. I still make a lot of typos and start correcting them, but at least I'm aware that I'm correcting them, and it should not be necessary for you to fix them while you're typing. Why? How does this work? And if you look at the text here on the left-hand side saying, I heard a cat, that can be part of your prompt, and then GitHub Copilot and all the other large language models that we use start to give you suggestions on the next word that is in there. And if you feed it something like, I heard a cat, then usually the suggestion will be something like, meow, I heard the cat make a noise, and then the cat does something. And in this case, it's meowing at a dog. This phrase works perfectly, of course, because there's no real typos in there. But if you mistype certain things in there, add a little bit of typos, some accidental mistakes, for example, then you'll see that, hey, this prompt works just as fine and just as well. This is especially helpful if you have a bigger prompt and you're writing a lot of things in the chat. Then fixing those typos usually isn't that hard. Even if you go further and remove some spaces, then this works just as fine as well. I even started to not capitalize words anymore. So the I capital here in the beginning of the sentence is usually for me now a lowercase I, because I'm chatting with the bot anyway. And the bot has semantic meaning, the Copilot I should say, has semantic meaning, and I will pick it up from there. And internalizing that took quite a little while. Of course, I added a picture here that says there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. If you start using that and feel that setup as well, then this becomes more powerful for you. And it saves you a lot of frustration of removing things from your prompt while they shouldn't be there. Why does this work in the setup? Is that all those large language models have been trained with semantic meaning. And what we usually have in our heads that the large language models break up sentences on pieces of those sentences, and we think of it as the bottom of the top example, I should say, where we break up sentences by breaking everything up in between spaces. And then you have normal words in there, and from that words you can gather semantic understanding, meaning of what we're trying to do. So I heard makes it semantic understanding that, hey, we heard a noise, something, we picked something up with our ears. And a cat is an animal, so a cat makes a certain type of noise. And the top example here is what we usually think of when you think of large language models, but the truth is that a large language model breaks up words in random pieces. This is what we call tokenization of the input that is in there. And I made some random examples here saying it could be part of a word, it could be multiple words inside of a setup here. It could be right into something of a dot or an accolade or something else that is around your text. And because of that, semantic meaning starts to work on a large set of data. Of course, this is super simplified, so if you're really deep into large language models, you probably have some opinions there. But this is an explanation that works for me to understand better of, okay, it picks up semantic meaning from whatever I throw at it. And if there's punctuation in there, if I'm missing a couple of spaces, it usually is okay. Of course, if you mistype something within the word cat and it becomes a completely different animal, that is, of course, where the level is of what you can do there. But this can really be something that works to your benefit and makes you a fast or at least user of GitHub Copilot, because it saves you the frustration of fixing all the typos. And you can use that mostly in chat, as I said before. I think that's an excellent example of overcoming another step, another level. I had this aha moment when somebody suggested that to me and saying, hey, I see you fix your typos everywhere. Stop doing that. It's not necessary. And then reasoning about it, indeed, I internalized it for myself as well as, indeed, this is not necessary. I can just continue and move forward. So accept those mistakes. They're just little happy accidents. And you can continue from there as well. All right, and as I said, this is part of a whole series, 9 different videos talking about how I felt an aha moment for myself and got to another level of using GitHub Copilot to my benefit. So I do recommend watching for the other videos in this series as well. There's plenty of that to learn from. And if you have extra tips and tricks that you want to share with me, drop them, of course, in the comments and let me know, because that is something that I can potentially learn from as well. See you in the next video.